good evening, everybody. Sam, thank you for you know, allowing this platform, where I can share. So what I'll be doing is, I'll be sharing some of my life journey and my life experiences with all of you. It's not, it's not something like a management gyan, but more about my personal experiences that I have gone through over the last almost 26 years now. And I hope some of you can learn from some of the mistakes that I have made and some of my experiences that I can share with you. It'll be mostly in a story format, so I hope it's not too boring and it's engaging enough for you to keep attentive. So I started Suburban Diagnostics in 1994. I'm a pathologist from Grand Medical College, and I spent almost 10 years, in that institution at Baikala, from MBBS to my MD to my lecturership. And then I went to the US to train in a field of pathology called cytology, where it's used for cancer detection. And when I went to the US, the professor who I trained under had only one condition, that she said, I will train you free of cost, provided you buy a microscope of my choice, that is her choice. So before I started Suburban, the first investment that I made is this microscope that you see. This microscope is with me since 1994. So it's 26 years since I've had this. This is my most prized possession. The reason I'm showing you this microscope is that each of us have a comfort zone. Each of us feel insulated in that comfort zone. And I am insulated and I am very comfortable behind this microscope. This is like, my comfort zone, because that's my area of expertise. That's where, I have trained, I have honed my skills. But it is very important that if you have to grow, you have to move outside your comfort zone. So today, I don't use this microscope. And just to share with all of you, my younger daughter has just got selected to do her MD pathology at Tata Hospital. And the day she got her seat, I gifted this microscope to her so that she can continue the legacy of using the microscope. So this is I have so many stories about the microscope, and Vrinda can tell you, she has her own version of how I used to use the microscope. Maybe if time permits at the end, she can share some anecdotes about how people view me with behind the microscope. The other photograph that you see is, I'm sitting with a colleague, Dr. Arte, uh, and it's about that particular chair that both of us, prefer to sit on, because we realized that whenever we hired a new pathologist, the pathologist who sat on that particular seat either got married or got pregnant. And neither Dr. Arte or I had anything to do with it. I can trust you, please believe me on that. So we decided that, neither of us want to get pregnant or get married at this age again. So we decided that we will sit on that particular chair. And that's the sort of story about that chair. And that's a true story. It's not something that I'm making up. So when we started 25 years ago, the healthcare industry at that time was extremely fragmented, especially the diagnostic industry, where most of the tests were performed in facilities that were based in hospitals. And standardization, what it is today, at least, was completely missing there. And there was absolutely, no customer centric focus. Yet there was change all around. You know, the whole banking industry was changing, the whole food industry was changing, entertainment industry was changing. So we felt that this is a great opportunity. When there is change all around, how can you bring about change in the healthcare industry? And that's what the motivation was for me at that point of time. And I don't know how many of you have seen the movie Satya. That's probably one of my all-time favorite movies. And there's a very, key dialogue in that movie which says, मौका सभी को मिलता है. Everybody gets an opportunity. It's about how how you capitalize on that opportunity and make best of that opportunity. The opportunity, today if we look at how we address the community, 90% of the people that come to us are ill. So we are treating 90% of illness, and only 10% of the customers or the patients who come to us are well. uh, and most of the people who come to us are coming to us because you know they have been pushed to do a test because of their illness, or they have word of mouth. There is no way for people to really choose their own healthcare needs, and that is the one differentiator that I wanted to bring, is to give people a choice. That how can you choose your own healthcare needs? You have a opportunity to choose anything else in life, which clothes you uh, wear, which car you buy, which house you live, what kind of food you eat. But healthcare sometimes is almost forced upon you. So the opportunity was that if you bring in that level of transparency, people will have the opportunity to choose their own healthcare needs. And the basic concept that we want to bring is that, don't do a test only when you fall ill. Do a test not to fall ill. And that, so we want to also cater to the wellness segment where, we don't only look at patients, but we also look at customers. And the whole Suburban Diagnostics journey has been like a dream in the making. You have to start with some level of inspiration, which is the motivation for you. And the inspiration or the motivation for me is, to add value to people's lives, is to make sure that people live healthier, live better. That's the motivation for me. But mere motivation is not enough, because you will need to have a lot of hard work. So perspiration is extremely important, and you don't get anything with hard work. But with hard work, you also need some amount of commitment, some perseverance. So you need that dedication. And sometimes if you see, innovation and perspiration are opposite sides of each other, that mere hard work is not good enough. You also need smart work. So a good balance between hard work and smart work is very important. And it is equally important that you have fun in what you're doing. You enjoy, you have fun, you celebrate. And this is a continuous cycle of evolution. That is inspiration to celebration with perspiration, dedication, and innovation is an ongoing process. And that's the way you will keep growing as an organization. This is actually me. Uh, no Photoshop in this. That hair is genuine. It is all me. This is, way back in 94 when we started. We started with about 800 square feet of space in a place called Oberoi Complex outside Lokhandwala. And because I was a pathologist, we only had basic pathology services, and all the other departments, that we had, uh, in a business. And I'm sure all of you know those different departments. All those departments were headed by me, because I was the entrepreneur and I had to do everything. And I'll share some of those experiences with you. And what has happened today, you see that. So if I was to just go back and see, this equipment is the benchmark of all what we call as biochemistry analyzers. This is the Hitachi 704, which still is sort of the best machine that I ever worked on. And the same Hitachi 704 now has become what we call as the Cobas 8000, which is the absolute top of the line. So this is like the Ferrari of biochemistry analyzers. So as you see that as the machines become bigger, your hair becomes less. So that's the side effect of bigger machines. So from 800 square feet, which we started with, today we occupy close to 80,000 square feet across the network. Our central lab is about 8,000 square feet, where we service close to 4,000 plus patients every day. We offer more than 2,000 tests. We have a network of more than 170 locations across Maharashtra, Goa, and MP. We have a team of about 1,200 people that work with us. We do, I mean, the number is probably higher now, maybe close to 15,000 home visits per month. And we have a team of close to 100 doctors now, full-time professionals that work with us. And the big change is, we have, all departments are headed by expert professionals. We have some of them with us, Sushant, who's the overall business head, Dibakar, who's our finance head, and Vrinda is our head of customer service. So all departments today are headed by professionals. Whereas when I started, all these functions were done by me. This one story that I will share with you is probably my most compelling story. And whenever I've spoken about this, this remains with people for times to come. So when I started Suburban Diagnostics, it was a shop on the ground floor, and I had to reach there at 6:45 in the morning every day because the lab had to start at 7:30. And I would come in the morning at 6:45 and open the shutter, and I would, at the end of the day by 8:30, I would pull down the shutter and lock it and go home. And I had to do this every day because I had the keys. Uh, and I kept doing this, opening and closing the shutter every day for so many years. And then I realized that what are the lessons that I've learned with this exercise of opening and closing the shutter. The first lesson that I learned is a sense of ownership, a sense of responsibility, because I have the keys. If I lose those keys, the shutter will never open. So, that sense of ownership and responsibility came automatically with having the keys of that shutter. The next lesson that I learned was punctuality. That if I don't reach on time at 6:45, then that there was to be a fellow called Dashrath who would come and do the housekeeping. Dashrath would just keep waiting outside, and the technicians who would come after that to start the other work would all be waiting. So I had to be on time to make sure everybody else was on time. It taught me collaboration. It taught me teamwork, that my role is coming to open the shutter. Then I have somebody who will come and do housekeeping. Then I have somebody else who will do the technical role. And so I had to collaborate. I had to build a team. So it taught me, the opportunity of teamwork. It taught me that you must have a backup plan. And in case I am not able to open the shutter, I must have somebody else who can take the keys and go and open the shutter. So you must always have a backup plan, because business has to continue no matter what. So in any situation, have a plan B. It taught me to look after my health. I don't know how many of you have actually opened a shutter or not, but it takes a little bit of strength to open the shutter. So if I have to look after my business, I have to first look after myself. So remaining healthy, remaining fit is very important, if you want to run a business. It taught me maintenance, looking after your equipment. If you have a shutter that is well lubricated and well oiled, it is far easier to open a shutter like that than if a shutter is not well lubricated, not well oiled, slightly rusted or not aligned. It's very difficult to open those shutters. It taught me communication. And when the shutter is down at the end of the day, but if a patient or a customer wants to reach out to you, what can I do to make myself accessible? And I'm talking about a time when there was no internet, there were no cell phones, it was only a landline, there was no contact center or a call center. So I painted the outside of the shutter with my residence number, that if somebody needs to reach out to me after 8:30 at night till 7:30 in the morning, they had my number that they could reach me on. So these were some of the findings that continue to help me even today, of ownership, responsibility, punctuality, teamwork, good health, maintenance, collaboration. All these things are very, very important. So these are the lessons that I've learned by opening and closing the shutter, which I did for, I would say, almost 10 years of the first 10 years of Suburban Diagnostics. The next lesson that I want to share with you is getting your hands dirty. Maybe not the best pictorial demonstration, but like I mentioned that when I started Suburban, I was a pathologist and I only knew how to do pathology. But as an enterprise, I had to learn so many different things. I had to learn sales, I had to learn marketing, I had to learn operations, I had to learn HR, I had to learn technology, I had to learn admin, so many different things. So what I got was initially, because all the functions I had to do myself. My wife, of course, has been my co-founder and continues to be. We are the first two employees of Suburban Diagnostics. So she managed the accounting. Everything else sort of came on me. What it allowed me is that it allowed me to learn all other functions, all the non-medical functions, which continue to help me today. So it was like I got a working MBA. Whatever you do with your own hands, you will always remember, and you will be able to be skillful at. It's like you learn swimming, you'll never forget. You learn cycling, you'll never forget. So whatever you do with your own hands is the best way to learn. There's no better way to learn than by getting your hands dirty. I have to thank my father for this. He's the visionary in the family. He's the one who always pushes us to dream big. My father came to India at the age of 12 through the partition from Pakistan. And he was just alive. He just had the clothes on his body. So wherever we are today is because of, the learnings that I've got from my father, that if you have to make it big, you have to dream big. We never thought that, we would go from a small lab of 800 square feet to, 80,000 square feet of space, of two of us to 1,200 people, of revenues close to 200 crores. And now with people like Sushant and Dibakar in the team, how can we go from here from 200 to 2,000 crores? That's the next journey that we have. So unless you dream big, you'll never make it big. So it's always important that you dream big, but you have a plan to fulfill those dreams. Relationships have always been very, very important for me. The fact that I'm here today sharing this experience with you is because of my relationship with Sam, with Sampath Aingara. Sam is how I call him. Sam and I met 10 years ago on a platform called BNI. And we have just remained friends since then. And any opportunity I get, I take out, I need some help, I reach out to Sam, and Sam does the same with me. And Vrinda is the sort of connector between all of us. Vrinda and I met through the BNI platform. And one day I just told her, Vrinda, I think, there is more for you in life than just being part of this network. And Vrinda joined us, and today she's heading customer service for us. I'll share, one experience. So, my relationships have gone with friends, with customers, with patients, with doctors. Very importantly, it's important to have good relationship with your business partners, your channel partners, or your vendors. So this Cobas 8000 machine that you see today is due to one of my vendor called Jignesh. And Jignesh one day came to me and told me that, Dr. Arora, you can't go with, small machines. You need to think big and have this bigger machine. So he showed me this prototype of this, fancy looking machine. And I said, Jignesh, this is just not possible. But he opened my eyes and he told me, so all the business partners that I have been associated with have continued to add value to our growth. And Jignesh's story is such that Jignesh left Roche Diagnostics and he joined another company. And one day, about 6 months later, he came back to meet me and he said, Dr. Arora, something is missing in my life. I said, क्या हो गया Jignesh? He's saying, पिछले 6 महीने से किसी ने मेरे को झापा नहीं. Nobody has fired me actually. And I'm a very demanding person to work with. It's not very easy to work with me because I want to give the best to our customers and our patients. So I demand very high expectations from everybody who works with us, including our channel partners. So Jignesh said, sir, every time you give feedback to me, even if it is harsh, there is something of learning that I take away from that that helps me improve. And today I have come because I have not learned anything in the last 6 months. So please, we will have coffee, but you please also give me a little bit of a jhapping so at least I can learn something. So such, stories are, I have so many such stories to talk about. And Jignesh today is the All India head for one division of Abbott Diagnostics. And I'm so proud of the way he has grown from being a sales executive to being a country head. And there are so many such stories. So relationships matter in your life. It's very, very important that you protect such relationships and don't burn bridges. Cherish these relationships, nurture these relationships, because eventually they will come back and help you in life. The first almost, I would say, 18 years of my life of Suburban, it was just Anju and me, my wife and me, who ran the organization. Then we got people like Vrinda and George. Today, we have a team of top-notch professionals. We have some of them who are with us, Sushant and Dibakar, and they are far better than me in their domain. No, there's no comparison. So it's very important that if you want to grow, you have to shed your inhibitions. You have to, be secure in your position to be able to, attract talent that is better than you. Because only if you get people who are better than you, will they push you and you will push them. Uh, as an entrepreneur, you know your business the best because you have lived that journey. But as professionals, they have tremendous value to add. And you need people who will challenge you, who will push you, and you will challenge them and you will push them. So I've always believed in building a team that's better than me. Today, I have got so many people in the organization that can do their job better than I would do theirs. So, and I'm so proud of the team that I've been able to build. And that's my biggest asset today, that my growth has come only because of my team, the team that I've been able to build and nurture. And we continue to do this even today. This is one concept of closing the loop that I have learned in Suburban. And I would like to leave this with all of you. So in Suburban Diagnostics, the concept is what starts with you ends with you. In a large organization, there are multiple functions. So I will get a request from a patient and I know I can't fulfill that. So I will, ask Sushant, can you please help me with this? And obviously Sushant has got too many things. So he will ask somebody in his team to fulfill it and they will ask somebody else in their team to fulfill it. And generally what happens is this becomes a Chinese whisper. And sometimes I feel, okay, I have given it to Sushant, so my job is done. And Sushant feels he's given it to somebody else and his job is done. But for me, the request started with me. So I need somebody to come back and tell me at the end of the day, okay, Dr. Arora, this request that you got from Sampath Iyengar for a home visit, it actually got fulfilled. So Sushant will inform Vrinda. Vrinda will call up the call center and book the appointment. And she will give me a feedback at the end of the day and say, you had asked for this home visit for Sampath. I have made sure that the home visit is done. So closing the loop, what starts with you ends with you. That is the only way you make sure that things, you look after the customer. So in any function that you are in, if you get a request and you pass it on to somebody else in your team, just ensure that you close the loop at your end again, that what starts with you ends. There is no individual, there is no company, there is no organization that does not make mistakes. And I have made many of them, let me tell you that. The biggest thing about mistakes is don't hide your mistakes. Learn from your mistakes. What I do is I share my mistakes so that other can learn from them. So one of the objectives of this interaction with all of you is to share the mistakes that I have made. I have made many mistakes. So I want to make sure that if I have made mistakes, all of you don't make the same mistakes. So a smart person is somebody who learns from other people's mistakes and does not make those mistakes themselves. So learn from your mistakes first. See, everybody can make a mistake. If you can learn from a mistake, that's fine. And if you can teach other people to learn from your mistakes, even better. But repeating the same mistake, that is then carelessness. That is not acceptable. Making a mistake first time. So when we have a large organization with 1,000 people, if I'm able to share my mistake, 1,000 people can benefit from that. And that's the opportunity that, no other patient, no other inconvenience should happen because of one mistake that I made. And you convert all your mistakes into processes, into trainings, so that you can plug those gaps. So we have a process that any mistake has a corrective action, a preventive action, has a root cause analysis. Vrinda is a key part of that whole process, and any feedback that she gets from customers is converted into a process, and then that process is then taught across the organization. So very important that you make mistakes, but learn from them and don't repeat them. I firmly believe that what I expect from people, I should be able to do that myself. So it is very important to lead by example. That if you want people to come on time, but if you don't come on time, then it's not fair. If you want people to dress in a particular way, but you dress shabbily, not acceptable. If you want people to behave in a particular way, but you don't do that. So, or the other way around, if you lead by example, it's hugely inspirational to your team. So set the right example that you want your team to do. So you have to lead by example. Very important as a leader, and I learned this from Mr. Vijay Mahajan, who was our first HR consultant, that, with great power, you tend to abuse that power. And as you have seen, the movie Batman, with great power comes great responsibility. And sometimes as leaders, we let that power go to our head.
Spider-Man, huh? Not Batman.
Spider-Man. Okay.
Spider-Man.
Sorry. So it is very important that as a leader, we must learn to appreciate generously, appreciate in public. But when you have to admonish, we have to give negative feedback, do that privately. Never give a negative feedback in public. Be very comfortable to delegate and to empower. And very important to have process that you must inspect what you expect. If you expect something from your team, create a process to inspect. But very important that you continue to add value to your team. You know, there is no shortcut for experience, no matter how much you try. Experience is the bottom line. So share your experience with people, find ways to add value. Your team grows, you automatically grow with your team. So that's the most important lesson in leadership. This is part of the shutter story, that if I have to open the shutter, I have to remain fit myself. So having a healthy body, healthy mind, and healthy spirit is very important. Look after yourself, because for looking after anything else in life, you have to first look after yourself. So do take time, to exercise. If you like to do meditation, maybe take up a sport, some hobby, something to have a healthy body, healthy mind, and healthy spirit. And this, I firmly believe that work-life balance, it truly works, because if you come back home from a exhausting day at work, and you have a good family life, you can you don't want to pour out your anger on your family. And similarly, if you have a strong family support, you can spend more time at work. So a good family life and a good work balance is extremely important. And continuing on that, find a hobby. I have lots of hobbies. I'm an avid cyclist, an avid photographer. I love to cook. That's what I make every Sunday. It's waffles with scrambled egg. And I'm a huge music enthusiast, and I'm learning to be a DJ as well. So these are some of my hobbies. Do find any hobby that interests you. It's very important to have that balance in your life. And last but not the least, after having almost 26 years in this industry, it's very important that I give back to society. So, any opportunity that I get, and I'm again thankful to Sam, to Sampath, for giving me the opportunity of sharing my story. You have to find ways to give back. So many years ago, at Diwali time, we would have Diwali gifts that we would give to our friends, to our key customers, to our doctors. And then Anju and I realized that, do people really value these Diwali gifts? Most of them are probably recirculated. So we decided that we'll keep the same budget, but instead of giving Diwali gifts to these people, we will give it to people who will truly value it. So 1 year we sponsored 50 students for their 1 year education. 1 year we went to a old age home. 1 year we went to an orphanage. So 2 days in our calendar. One is 17 July when Suburban Diagnostics was founded, and second is around Diwali. We make sure that we find ways to give back. We are all privileged, and we have to find ways to give back to people in society. Very important. I can't explain to you that, but the joy of giving, it's unmatched today. And if you can add value in people's lives, there is nothing more gratifying than that. And I think in healthcare, I'm truly privileged that the kind of work that we do in Suburban Diagnostics makes an impact in people's lives that probably no other industry can. And on 24th of March 2020, we did our first COVID test. And I wrote to my team and I said, it is only people like us who are truly privileged, who have been given this opportunity in this time of need, that due to our presence and our work, we will be able to impact so many people. Uh, I'm very proud to say that, with the leadership shown by Sushant, Dibakar and team, we have done close to 40,000 tests, and we continue to find ways to add value to people's lives. So I look forward to hearing, all of your success stories soon. Thank you very much. Sam, over to you.
Superb, Sanjay. Excellent.
Superb, sir. Superb.
Great. Okay. So we have some questions. Suhas has got a question.
Sure.
No, it is not a question, but I wish to thank Dr. Sanjay for sharing his experiences. And somewhere we had a BNI Connect at the back.
Right.
So I am also a proud BNI member.
Right.
And you seem to be got lot of advantages out of BNI also, and you are still connected.
Well,
thank you very much. Wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Let us meet in Pune whenever you are here.
Absolutely. We have few of our centers in Pune, and I will do that the next time I'm in Pune.
Yeah. Thank
Great.
you.
Okay. Ravi has got a question, also from Pune.
Sure.
Doctor, it was really nice hearing through your success story. A small technical question: with the influx of technology coming into your field,
yes,
there's a lot of reliance, or shall we say dependency on test results.
Yes.
Where do you draw a line between human expertise and technology expertise, such that the resultant reports are good and accurate?
Yes. Reliability, consistency, accuracy, these are all words that we use. So what we did is very early, there is a body in India called NABL, National Accreditation Board for Testing and Calibrating Laboratories. And we were hardly 5 years into our inception where I decided that, we must get NABL accreditation. And this accreditation is an ISO 15189, which is not a documentation kind of accreditation, but actually accreditation of your systems and processes, which checks the qualification of your staff, which checks the training of your staff, which checks the quality of your equipment, how often you run quality control, checks your IT systems, it checks how you collect the blood, how you discard the blood, where do you store it. So every aspect of what you do in a lab is defined and checked. We were the 67th lab in the country at that time to get NABL accreditation. And now that list has jumped to about maybe 1,500 labs in the country. There would be about 1.5 lakh labs in the country, only about 1,500. So about 1% of the labs have NABL accreditation. And we were the 67th lab about 20 years ago that went in for this accreditation. And we've gone through numerous audits. Now, every lab that we set up, has to have NABL accreditation. And about 8 years ago, we pushed the bar to the next level where we went in for accreditation from College of American Pathologists, which is the international gold standard for quality. So we have NABL accreditation for almost 20 years. And we also have accreditation from College of American Pathologists for the last 8 years. But it's a continuous process. We continue to learn, we continue to innovate. We bring in, technology plays a huge role, but also human interface. So we have a very strong training department in Suburban Diagnostics, and the person who heads our training department has been in Suburban for more than 22 years. So this lady has, seen every aspect of the organization. So training of people is an ongoing process. Accreditation, bringing in the right technology, bringing in the interface, and keep challenging ourselves every day. So we make sure that we stay a little paranoid, because we want to make sure we give the best to our customers.
Doctor, do you face any medical legal challenges in your work day-to-day basis?
So, I mean, the broad answer is, yeah, I mean, all doctors today will have, some issue or the other sometime in their career. Fortunately for us, we've not had any, so the common issue that happens is, that there is a discrepancy in a report between two labs. So people, then, ask you which report is correct, and, try and, look at legal action. But if you are honest and you're transparent with people, more cases, are handled. So I think I've always believed if there is a chance for improvement, you should put up your hand and say, look, yes, I can do better. But in most cases, it's only about explaining and, being a listener and understanding the challenge, and then explaining and being transparent about it. So fortunately for us, we've not had any challenge so far like this.
Well said, doctor. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ravi. Abhijit had a question, no?
Yes. Doctor, what I wanted to ask you is that has there been any documentation or any such thought in running your operations all these years, where you've made a correlation between pathological condition and psychological condition? So sometimes the pain may be just psychological, may not be physiological. So of course the drugs later on take over and at the psychosomatic level, or what you call in medical language, there's a typical word for it.
No, you're right. I think it's psychosomatic is the right word. That the mind and the body are interconnected, and there are many times. So you have many people who have a normal cholesterol but will still have a heart problem, and there are many people who will have high cholesterol but will not have any cardiac problems. So there are multiple areas where we realize that medicine is not an exact science, and the mind does have an impact on the body. So stress. I mean, it's easy said as a word, but difficult to define sometimes. So even if you have an artery in the heart which is completely open, but if there is stress, the artery can actually get compressed, and sometimes those can be the reasons for a heart problem and not really a cholesterol problem. So we haven't been able to do any, say, reportable study, so to say. But yes, I mean, it is a documented fact that the mind does play an impact on the body outcome.
All right.
Dr. Sanjay remembers my blood report when I came to him. So he says, if you want to continue coming to me, you go and eat what you're eating. You eat all that bacon and all. But doc, my full blood report always become normal, because I was undergoing a lot of stress at that time. So I'm off all my cholesterol and statins and all. And now I started working out also. Unfortunately, 2 months gym is closed, but now health is back to normal.
So I'll tell you, right, this is a small joke, as Sampath said, that which is the one muscle you need to exercise to remain healthy?
Brain.
There's only one. Well, brain, yeah, okay, but I mean, there's a actually
to go down.
I say it's the neck muscle. When somebody puts very interesting food in front of you, you just say no. So it's you just say no, and you turn your head and say no. I think that's probably the simplest exercise, but tough to do.
Yeah, Chaitali, you have a question?
Dr. Arora, very inspiring. A lot of what you said is what I've learned from my dad. He's 78 years old and he's the first one to reach office at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
And he's many a times he's opened the shutter. So I guess what you said about the shutter, I've never correlated that, but it's an amazing, amazing learning because I've opened the shutter a couple of times, but I know where my dad comes from. I have two questions. The first question is that I live at Five Gardens, Matunga, and
Yes.
you don't have a center here, but you have a pickup point. So when we need to get tests done, we need to come all the way to Juhu or Lokhandwala, which is very far away. So if you have any plans for expansion in this area, that is number one. And the second one is that somebody I know visited your Lokhandwala branch 2 days back because his sister was diagnosed with COVID and she's a dialysis patient, and he wanted to get tested, and your team told him no, stating that unless and until he does not have these symptoms or he does not get a prescription from the doctor, they will not test him.
So first question, we have a collection center at, there's a Chitra Diagnostic Center. It used to be near Chitra Talkies.
Yes, I've heard of that.
Now shifted near, Bahar Talkies or something. So Chitra Diagnostic Center, we have a collection center where we can give blood samples for pathology. Second is we do home visits across the city.
Okay.
We have a centralized call center. And if you want to note it down, it's 6170 0000.
Okay.
So you can call up that number 022 6170 0000,
Okay.
and you can ask for a home visit at any place in the city of Mumbai and Pune. We also have a full-fledged center like at Juhu. We have it at Khar,
All right.
to Khar police station, as well as at Kalina on the
Okay.
back road.
All
So,
right.
if you could just log on to the website, or if you share the details with Sampath, I can have somebody, or Vrinda, who's on the call, she can share the details with you.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Regarding COVID,
Yes.
see, COVID testing is something which is highly regulated at this point of time. First of all, only labs that have been given permission by ICMR. ICMR is the central nodal body in the country that has given approval to labs to do the test. And
Okay.
ICMR has given very strict guidelines on who can be tested and who cannot be tested.
Right.
And then the local municipal authorities, the BMC, has adapted and adopted and modified those guidelines as per what is required by the state. We have to adhere to those guidelines because all our data is validated and uploaded to ICMR and BMC on a daily basis. We have to follow those guidelines and mandates. So those guidelines require a doctor's prescription. Somebody who's so asymptomatic people, unfortunately, currently don't have the opportunity of getting tested. However, recently, just a couple of days back, the BMC has released another guideline that if you are an asymptomatic contact of a known positive, then after 5 days of contact, you can get yourself tested. So
Yes.
that has just been recently relaxed, but you still need a doctor's prescription for that. So
Okay.
unfortunately, like, cholesterol or a blood sugar test, people can just walk in. A COVID test still requires a doctor's prescription before we are authorized to do the test.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Thank you very much.
Nilay had a question.
Yeah, doctor. I had a question with regards to the execution in your expansion phase. So, like you mentioned that initially it was just two of you, and you had to learn all the non-medical aspects of your business. So, at what point did you have to tell that no, I can't do everything myself. I need a team. I need a professional team to do it. And secondly, while expanding, what were the challenges you faced in terms of, let's say, capital or marketing or human resource, and how did you overcome that?
It's a
Thank
great question, and that question can take one day to answer also. At what stage did I feel? I think sometimes you need the wisdom of somebody more experienced than you, and I'm very fortunate that my father, like Chaitali's father, he's 84 and he still reaches office before I do. And he did his PhD at the age of 82.
Oh.
So he told me that, I think you need to, you are burning yourself at both ends. And if you want to build a sustainable business, you cannot burn yourself at both ends. So you need to get a professional, support. So the first professional we hired was a person called George, who still is very much integral part of our team, who played a role of admin and HR and support. So, I think somebody from the outside probably realized that, I was being overstretched. I was burning myself. I was probably neglecting my health, and I think that was a great outside in, wisdom. And that is what I wanted to share with you, that, build a team, that is better than you, that is stronger than you. And the team will actually make you fly. It will give you the wind beneath your wings. We continued to grow from our internal accruals and from little bit of debt that we raised until 2012. At 2013, we raised private equity. So at 2012, we were about, just about 15 centers. So from 2013 onwards till now, so last almost 7 years, we've grown from 15 to 150 plus centers. So we were able to raise private equity because we were a very frugally managed, lean business, highly profitable at that time, and we got good private equity infusion, and which had allowed us to expand. So I think that was a big boost to us for getting good private equity. We have Sequoia Capital, which is a premier private equity company. Sequoia is the one company that has backed Apple and Google and such players. WhatsApp is also a Sequoia backed company. So we feel very privileged that we've had the support of Sequoia when we needed it most.
Great. Marishi, you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, doctor. The story of Sequoia is very good. I being from that background, like we are a CACS firm, so I know how valuable Sequoia is to you.
Right.
So congratulations. Many people wish to get in Sequoia, but very few get it. So if I ask you a question on how did you get Sequoia, that would be completely a separate discussion. But nevertheless, what my question currently is that in the US or in other places, the measurement for diabetes is something else. They say maybe 120 is normal, 80 is normal. Similarly with cholesterol, similarly with all other tests that happen, there's a pretty subjective issue that comes in. So as a normal layman people, it's all obviously there in the report that that averages are there, but when I Google and do some research, so they say that it is a more conservative approach. 80 diya, so it should be 100. So how would we validate, or how should we look at it?
Sure. So two parts to that question. One is, the units that you use. Some people use milligram per DL, and some people use what is called as SI units. So the US is different than the whole world. So the US use miles, the whole world uses kilometers. So the units can be different. So for example, if we measure blood glucose in milligram per DL, whereas the US, you have to divide that number by 18, and they give you value of 5, 6, 7, which is an SI unit or System International. So that is one. There is a unit difference. But even the reference range, actually, if you are a accredited lab like ours, you have to be able to give reference range that is traceable to international standards. So if we use a reference range, that reference range is traceable to, say, the American Diabetic Association or the WHO. So we have traceability to. So if all labs were accredited, then they would also follow the same norms, and then you would have a uniformity in terms of reporting. But because all labs are not accredited, so everybody uses the reference range of the testing kit that is used in the lab.
Okay.
But eventually, most labs, the reference ranges are made as per Western population. So we have made our own reference ranges in India now, which are based on individual, the local population. So we will do a study of 200 patients, normal patients, and we will devise our own reference ranges. This is something which is recommended by NABL and CAP. So it's a complex process of defining reference ranges. Anyways.
Just to clarify, the NABL accreditation is what the lab normally should be good enough for any. Like I've done testing from Suburban also, but the reference range that's there is normally uniform. I don't see the locality being put into the thing.
Cases, if you use international quality kits, the reference ranges generally will be the same. So,
Okay.
for example, you mentioned blood glucose. The
Yeah.
reference range used to be 110, but it has been
Yeah.
changed to 100. So anything below
Yeah.
100 is considered normal. 100 to 125 is now considered what we call as borderline.
Yeah.
Diabetic is 126 and above.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are
So
still some
120
labs.
was what I knew. Yeah.
Yeah, so there are still some labs that use 110. So they have
Hmm.
not updated themselves actually.
Okay.
Great.
Cool.
Thanks, Manishi. We have a question from Nihal.
Yeah, good evening, doctor. Couple of questions. One is
No, couple एक because already time जा रहा है. थोड़ा एक question पूछ लेना because I've got 2-3 other people ready for questions.
yeah. Okay, sir. So one is the question of when you do the home visits. Basically, there are a lot of senior citizens now who require, especially in the COVID times, where they are not supposed to be stepping out of home.
Right.
For example, my mother has got cough since the last 10 days, 12 days.
Right.
It has subsided, but naturally would prefer to have a chest X-ray.
Sure.
And her being susceptible to catching a virus at any of the diagnostic centers which are approved for the COVID test. How should one, in such scenarios, because there's no information flow which is happening across as to how people at home can get something done and how safe would it be to get it done?
Sure. So, no, good question. Again, home visits initially was something which the BMC was permitting us to do. Currently, they are not permitting us to do home visits. However, for elderly, for people who are immobile, for people who are bedridden, for people who are handicapped, we do make exceptions. So to do a COVID test or a non-COVID test, if there is a need, if there is a doctor's prescription which is valid, we'll be able to help such patients. The other part about visiting our centers, so we have taken a lot of precautions. The first precaution is that we are doing COVID sampling only in very select locations where only COVID testing is done and no other test is done. So these are our smaller collection centers which have been earmarked only for COVID collection. So we are not doing any non-COVID. So if you were to come to the main center at Shastri Nagar, we are not doing any COVID-related testing out there. We are also insisting that all our staff, download the Arogya Setu app. Only those staff members who are green on our Arogya Setu are at work. If there is any symptoms of any of the staff, we have a COVID task force which is looking into the health and safety of our staff members to make sure that our staff is safe, and we are also making sure we create a safe environment for our customers. Then we make sure that we provide a mask and glove to every customer who comes in. Our staff, of course, is wearing mask and gloves, and some of them are even wearing face shields and a full gown. So we have taken a lot of precautions of fumigation, of hand sanitization, of PPEs, glove, masks, Arogya Setu app, COVID task force. There are a number of initiatives that we have taken to ensure that there is a safe environment for people who want to visit. So in case your mother does need to visit a center for the X-ray, the center is absolutely safe for her. She will not have any risk of catching an infection because we are not doing any COVID-related testing in these centers.
Great, thank you. I think, Doctor, if you can, highlight this to your fraternity, especially the larger ones like NM or Thyrocare or even Metropolis for that matter, because I think there is a lot of I think underinformed population who don't know exactly what is available in what way and how safe is it? Because I think
For sure. No,
that's where I think the citizens of the city need the most.
we'll find a way to, spread this communication more. I'll do that.
Great.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Great. Okay, we have our last question from Dr. Pushkar.
Yeah. Hi. I just wanted to know that there are some specialized tests for some patients what we require, specifically autoimmune venereal disease, which are not available at all places
Right.
in India also. So, are you doing such specialized tests, and do you also have collection centers in Thane and beyond Mumbai area, means MMR region?
Yes. So our network is across Maharashtra. So we are present in Mumbai, across Thane, across Navi Mumbai, up to Panvel, Nagpur, Nasik, Aurangabad, Indore, Jabalpur, Chhattisgarh as well. So we have a large network. Then of course we are present entirely in Goa. And wherever we are not present physically, as I mentioned earlier, we are able to do a home visit across the network anywhere that is required. As far as the specialized tests are concerned, I mean, please share what test are you requiring. We can discuss that separately offline. And, I will discuss it with our technical team and we'll see if we are able to help you. We will definitely try and do.
Okay. Great, doctor. I'll share the number so you can talk to him. Okay, so thank you, Dr. Sanjay Arora. It was very, very inspiring.
Sam, if I can interject here 1 minute.
Bolo.
Dr. Sanjay, I must say one thing. You are truly an inspiration. And I think a lot of the startups need mentors like you to give them a lot of insight into how, take them through the journey, because a lot of them don't realize, as your father's wisdom helped you in building an institution like you've built and you'll continue to build further, that you need to spread out and, hand it to the experts in different areas. And how do you, as a leader, hire better teams than you yourself?
No, thank you. No, I mean, I'm always happy to be of any help. Please, reach out to me wherever I can. I'll be more than happy to help.
Superb. Okay, guys. Thanks, everybody. I have made the breakout room, so all of you can go. Seema, are you there, Seema? Seema has come after a long time.
Yeah, hi. I'm very much there.
Yeah, Seema. So Seema, Dr. Sanjay, Seema is also from Lokhandwala. She stays in Windermere building. And she's come up. So Seema, any question you have for Dr. Sanjay?
No, I just want to say that I'm an old customer. I always go for suburb. Yes. My whole family and myself, we are like always, because it's very close by. So great going. Love the service. Everything is nice. Thank you. And love your story.
Thank
nice
you.
to have you.
Thank you so much.
Great. Okay. So